Commander Vera's navy blue fingers moved with mechanical precision across the control panel, her blonde hair pulled back in a regulation braid that spoke of discipline rather than vanity. The crystalline patterns beneath her skin caught the pale light of Crithia's 3 moons, creating constellations across her forearms as she monitored the approaching storm. "Commander, that front is moving faster than predicted." Marcus Hale's voice carried concern she couldn't quite comprehend. The human engineer had been stranded at Research Station Epsilon 7 for 3 weeks, waiting for transport that the weather consistently delayed. "Concern is inefficient," Vera replied, her tone as smooth and cold as polished stone. "We have adequate supplies and shelter. Emotional responses to meteorological phenomena serve no practical purpose." Marcus ran a hand through his dark hair, a gesture she'd cataloged as indicating stress. "Right, no emotions. I keep forgetting you Zorathians evolved past all that messy feeling stuff." She turned to face him, her violet eyes, the only warmth in her otherwise cool features, studying his expression. Humans fascinated her in an analytical way, like puzzles to be solved. This one particularly so. He possessed a gentleness her species had engineered away millennia ago, treating even the station's malfunctioning equipment with patience that seemed almost ... tender. The station shuddered as the first wave of wind struck. Warning lights painted Marcus's face red, then amber, then red again. "Commander, the thermal regulators in sections B through F just failed," he said, already moving toward the engineering panel. His hands worked quickly, efficiently. She appreciated efficiency. "The storm's electromagnetic interference is worse than anything in the database." Vera accessed the station systems through her neural interface, information flooding her consciousness in ordered streams. The analysis was immediate and troubling. "Station integrity will hold, but we're losing heat rapidly. At current rate, ambient temperature will reach lethal levels for human physiology within 4 hours. And for you? Zorathians can survive temperatures significantly lower. However," she paused, an unusual hesitation that felt foreign on her tongue. "There is one heated sleeping pod in Section A that remains operational. Its thermal core is independent of main power." Marcus's eyes met hers, and something in that gaze made the crystalline patterns beneath her skin pulse with an unfamiliar warmth. "1 pod for 2 people. That's cozy." "It is survival efficiency," she corrected, though the word cozy lingered in her mind with strange appeal. "The pod was designed for emergency situations. 2 bodies will generate optimal heat retention." "Vera, are you sure? I don't want to make you uncomfortable." "Uncomfortable." She tested the word internally, finding it inadequate for the subtle disturbances consideration created in her carefully ordered thoughts. No Zorathian would have asked. They would have calculated optimal survival and acted accordingly. "Discomfort is an emotion," she said, already heading toward section of a "I do not experience such things." But as the storm's howl grew louder and Marcus followed close behind, Vera felt the first hairline fracture and her certainty small as a whisper. Sharp as broken glass, the sleeping pod hummed softly, its interior bathed in amber light that made Marcus's skin glow golden and turned Vera's navy blue complexion to something deeper, more mysterious. The space was intimate by design, barely large enough for 2 bodies to lie side by side, the curved walls creating a cocoon of warmth against Crithia's killing cold. "I'll take the outer edge," Marcus offered, already shrugging off his thermal jacket. "You'll be warmer near the heating element. Zorathians require less warmth than humans. Logic dictates. Logic dictates I'm not letting you freeze while I'm comfortable." He interrupted gently, a small smile playing at his lips. "Humor me?" Humor, another emotion she theoretically didn't understand. Yet something about his expression made her crystalline skin patterns flicker in what might have been amusement. She positioned herself near the heating core while Marcus settled beside her, his presence radiating heat like a small star. The pod's cover sealed with a soft hiss, cocooning them in amber warmth and sudden, overwhelming proximity. "This is efficient," Vera said, though the word felt inadequate for the sensation of his shoulder brushing hers, the sound of his breathing in the confined space, the way his body heat seemed to seep through her uniform to touch her cool skin. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus's voice was soft in the darkness. "Do you ever wonder what it's like? Feeling things, I mean. Joy, sadness, all that chaos. Wonder implies curiosity. Curiosity is an emotional response. That's not an answer." Vera turned her head, finding his face inches from hers. In the pod's amber glow, his brown eyes held flecks of gold she'd never noticed. "Sometimes," she admitted, the word escaping before her logic could cage it, "I observe your species and catalog behaviors I cannot understand. When you laugh at something unexpected, when you pause to appreciate the color of a sunset, when you touch broken things with gentleness as if kindness could repair them. And what do you conclude from your observations, Commander?" "That humans are inefficient." She paused, her voice dropping lower. "And that perhaps inefficiency has value I was not programmed to recognize." Marcus shifted, reaching to pull a thermal blanket over both of them. His hand brushed hers in the process, such a small touch, accidental, meaningless. Yet where his fingers grazed her navy blue skin, something ignited. Not pain exactly, but a sharp awareness that radiated from the point of contact through her entire body. Her crystalline patterns flared bright beneath her skin. A bioluminescent response she couldn't control. "Vera? Are you okay? You're glowing." A physiological response to external stimulus. The technical explanation felt hollow even as she spoke it. Nothing more. But as Marcus carefully, respectfully withdrew his hand, she felt something she had no word for a loss. An absence, an ache where his warmth had been. And for the first time in her perfectly ordered life, Commander Vera wondered if her species had evolved away. Something essential rather than something weak. Hours passed in whispered conversation that Vera told herself was merely practical. Humans needed social interaction to maintain psychological stability in confined spaces. She was simply ensuring Marcus's optimal mental health. That was all. "Tell me about Earth," she heard herself say, the request emerging unbidden. "You speak of it with a frequency that suggests attachment." Marcus chuckled, the sound rumbling through the small space between them. "Attachment. Yeah, I suppose I am attached to my home planet. There's this beach near where I grew up, white sand, water so blue it hurts to look at. My family used to watch the sunset there every Sunday. The sun is merely a star undergoing nuclear fusion. Its position below the horizon is a result of planetary rotation. There is no logical reason to observe this repeatedly. Maybe not logical. But ... double quotes. Marcus shifted slightly closer, and Vera found herself acutely aware of every point where their bodies nearly touched. "Have you ever seen an Earth sunset, Vera? The way the light turns everything gold and pink and purple? The way the whole sky catches fire before darkness comes?" His voice had taken on a quality she recognized from her observations. Reverence, humans called it. Speaking of things they held sacred, I have viewed approximately 47 holographic recreations of Earth. Sunsets during xenocultural training. That's not the same. Marcus turned onto his side to face her, his expression earnest in the amber light. "Seeing it on a screen versus being there. Feeling the warmth on your skin, the salt air. The way your heart just ... expands, like you're part of something bigger and more beautiful than you ever imagined." Hearts do not expand. That is physiologically inaccurate. You know what I mean. The terrible thing was, she did. Or at least, some part of her she'd never acknowledged before understood what he meant. When he spoke of beauty, of connection, of that expansion in the chest, she felt an echo of it now, listening to him in this warm darkness. Why did you leave? She asked. If Earth holds such value to you, why accept assignment to an outpost world? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Sometimes you have to leave the things you love to understand how much they mean to you. His hand moved between them, palm up and offering. Sometimes distance gives you perspective. Vera stared at his open hand, understanding the gesture's meaning from her cultural studies. An invitation. A choice. He wasn't taking. He was offering, leaving the decision to her. Slowly, carefully, she placed her navy blue hand in his dot, his fingers closed around hers, gentle, warm, alive with a pulse she could feel against her cool skin. And this time, when her crystalline patterns flared bright, she didn't pull away. You're beautiful when you glow like that, Marcus whispered. Beauty is subjective, she managed. Though something in her chest, that supposedly unfeeling organ, was doing something impossible, that it was starting to ache. Tell me what you feel right now, Marcus said softly, his thumb tracing small circles on her palma, touch so gentle it should have been insignificant, yet somehow rewrote her entire understanding of sensation. I don't. Vera started, then stopped. The automatic denial felt like a lie, and she'd been taught that Zorathians never lied. I don't have the vocabulary. Try, please. She turned to face him fully, their bodies now aligned in the narrow pod, her glowing patterns casting blue light across his features. There is pressure in my chest. Not painful, but present, constant. When you touch me, it intensifies. When you stop, there is absence, emptiness where something should be, and that frightens you. Zorathians do not experience fear. Vera. The way he said her name soft, knowing, patient broke something inside her. Yes, she whispered. It frightens me. Because if I can feel this, then everything I was taught about my species, about myself, might be wrong. And if it's wrong, then what am I? Marcus's free hand rose slowly, telegraphing his intention, giving her time to refuse. When she didn't, his fingers traced the curve of her cheek, following the crystalline patterns that pulsed brighter under his touch. You're someone who's been alone for a very long time, he said. Someone who was told that strength meant isolation. But Vera, being strong doesn't mean being empty. My people evolved past emotions because they cause suffering, pain, loss. We eliminated the source of our weakness. And what did you gain? His question was gentle but unyielding. What did you gain by cutting away everything that makes life worth living? Her violet eyes met his, and she felt that pressure in her chest expand until it seemed impossible her body could contain it. Efficiency, order, clarity. And is it enough? His thumb brushed her lower lip, and her breath caught another involuntary response she couldn't control. Is order enough when you're lying in the dark, wanting something you can't name? Marcus. His name felt sacred on her tongue, an invocation of something she didn't understand but desperately needed. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm feeling or what it means or why everything hurts in a way that feels like healing. He drew her closer, eliminating the last inches between them until her navy blue skin pressed against his warmth, her blonde hair falling loose from its braid to curtain them both. You don't have to know. You just have to feel it. When his lips met hers, it was soft, questioning, giving her every opportunity to retreat. But Vera didn't retreat. Instead, she pressed closer, her crystalline patterns blazing so bright the pod filled with blue-white light. and kissed him back with all the pent-up longing of a lifetime spent pretending she was made of stone. She was breaking, and it felt like finally becoming whole. The storm broke just before dawn, Crithia's 3 moons setting as the first pale light crept across frozen plains. The rescue beacon's chirp filled the pod's steady, insistent, promising separation. Neither of them moved. Vera lay with her head on Marcus's chest, listening to his heartbeat, that inefficient, beautiful rhythm that her species had engineered into perfect stillness. Her hand splayed across his ribs, feeling each breath, memorizing the warmth she'd sworn meant nothing. "They'll be here within the hour," Marcus said quietly, his fingers threading through her blonde hair in a gesture that had become familiar through the night. Back to efficiency and order. Yes, the word tasted like ash. "Vera, look at me." She lifted her head, meeting his gaze. In the morning light, he looked tired, rumpled, absolutely human and more precious to her than all of Zorathia's perfect crystalline cities. "What happens now?" he asked. "Do you go back to pretending you don't feel anything? That last night didn't happen?" The ache in her chest expanded into something sharp and exquisite. "I don't know if I can." "Then don't." He cupped her face in both hands, his expression fierce with tenderness. "Don't go back to being empty. Stay broken open. Stay feeling." "It hurts," she whispered, and felt the admission crack something fundamental inside her. "You were right, my heart can hurt. It's hurting right now, knowing you'll leave. Knowing this was one night that can't become forever. Knowing I've discovered something beautiful just in time to lose it. Who says you're losing anything?" Marcus pulled her up until they were face to face, his forehead resting against hers. "I was supposed to transfer to another station next week, but there's a permanent engineering position here. On Crithia. With you." Hope. That was hope flooding through her, sweet and terrifying and entirely illogical. "Your career progression would be better served." "Vera, I don't care about career progression. I care about waking up every morning knowing I get to see you glow. Watching you discover feelings like they're new planets to explore. Teaching you about sunsets until you understand why humans are foolish enough to love beautiful things even when they disappear. That's inefficient." "Terribly inefficient," he agreed, smiling. "Completely illogical. Absolutely impractical. I want it anyway." The words emerged raw, honest, stripped of every defense. "I want you. I want this ache in my chest and the way my skin glows when you touch me and the terrifying possibility that this feeling might be what humans call love." "Might be?" Marcus's lips quirked. "Commander, I think you can do better than might be." Outside, engines hummed, the rescue team arriving. But inside the pod, Vera kissed Marcus like he was oxygen and she'd been suffocating her whole life. When she finally pulled back, her crystalline patterns blazing bright as stars, she whispered the truth she'd spent one night in his arms learning, "I love you." And yes, it hurts, beautifully, devastatingly, gloriously, and I wouldn't trade this pain for all the emotionless peace in the galaxy. The end.